Sir.
The January 18, 2024 meeting of the Woodbridge Township Board of Education will please come to order. Roll call, Mr. Secretary.
Ms. Anderson.
Here.
Ms. Bourdain.
Here.
Mr. Delapietro.
Here.
Mr. Mohammed.
Here.
Ms. Perez.
Here.
Mr. Sedana.
Here.
Mr. Treebwasser.
Here.
Mr. Velez.
Here.
And Mr. Harris.
Here. Mr. Secretary, as required by the Sunshine Law, please read the notice of meeting.
Thank you, Mr. President. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted as follows. On January 11th, 2023, emailed to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, and the Municipal Clerk's Office, posted in Rush Street, School Number 11, in the Board of Education Administration Building, also published on the school district website.
Thank you, Mr. Wolferman. Ms. Bourdain, please read the closed sessions.
Thank you, Mr. President. In compliance with the Sunshine Law, the board must go into closed session in order to discuss subjects exempt from the public portion of our meeting. The discussions to be held in closed session will be regarding personnel matters, and the board will receive attorney-client advice. Any information regarding the closed session discussion will be released to the public when the reasons for discussing these matters in closed session no longer exist.
Thank you, Ms. Bourdain. I have a motion by Ms. Bourdain. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Bourdain, seconded by Ms. Perez. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. We will return as soon as we finish our conversation. Thank you. Please rise for salute to the flag and a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do I have a motion to reconvene?
So motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Treebwasser, seconded by Mr. Sedana. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Carried. Roll call, Mr. Secretary.
Ms. Anderson.
Here.
Ms. Bourdain.
Here.
Mr. Delapietro.
Here.
Mr. Mohammed.
Here.
Ms. Perez.
Here.
Mr. Sedana.
Here.
Mr. Treebwasser.
Here.
Mr. Velez.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Here. Mr. Secretary, please state for the record any notices of bids received by the board.
Thank you, Mr. President. The following requests for proposal were received on January 11th, 2024, RFP 24-01 for high-impact tutoring.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Massimino, please introduce our student representative from Woodbridge High School this evening, Alexander Liu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Alexander Liu is an extraordinary young man who is ambitious, dedicated, and an extremely hard worker. Alexander is currently a senior class officer, secretary to the Chinese Honor Society, and a member of the Asian Pacific Islander Club. He currently ranks number 1 in the senior class with a 4.21 GPA. Awesome. Alexander would like to study computer science and pursue a career in cybersecurity. Alex, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. All right. The following is a summary of the activities that have taken place at some of our schools. At School 1, students celebrated holidays around the world. The PTO offered a holiday shop for the students, and Woodbridge High School Tomorrow's teachers began their visits. At school number 4 and 5, students were able to shop the Scholastic Book Fair. The PTO offered a holiday shop for the students. There was a Cookies with Santa family event. The winter vocal music concert took place. The jazz choir visited to St. Joseph's Nursing Home. The AMS Sidekicks visited the elementary students. Colonial High School's Tomorrow's teachers began their visits. School 4 and 5 was home to an MLK essay contest winner. And lastly, the dance club began. At school number 9, students were able to shop the Scholastic Book Fair. The winter vocal music concert took place. The AMS Sidekicks visited the elementary students. Woodbridge High School Tomorrow's teachers began their visits. School number 9 was home to an MLK essay contest winner. The wiffle ball club began. And lastly, Santa Claus visited the school on December 22nd. At school number 11, students were able to shop the Scholastic Book Fair. The winter chorus concert took place. The PTO offered a holiday shop for the students. There was a Cookies and Cocoa with Santa family event. The Woodbridge Middle School Sidekicks visited the Spartan elementary students. PBSIS raffles were distributed, and lastly, a holiday food drive was held throughout the school. At school number 19, a Toys for Tots toy and coat drive was held for students in need. The student council made holiday wreaths for the veterans at the Menlo Park Veterans Home. In December, School 19 started their partnership with John F. Kennedy Memorial High School Mentors. PBSIS honored first marking period honor roll students with a breakfast ceremony. And lastly, a mitten tree for the month of January began by collecting scarves, hats, and mittens to donate to the homeless. At school number 25, the Fords Fire Department brought their fire safety trailer to educate students on fire safety. The chorus sang for the community at Woodbridge Center Mall. ESL and bilingual students caroled holiday songs in both English and Spanish. Various holidays around the world were showcased throughout the month of December. The winter band and chorus concert took place in the new gymnasium. The student council sponsored an ugly winter sweater fashion show. Students were recognized at the December PBSIS drawing, where the second grade earned a class reward for their continued improvement in being respectful, responsible, and kind. The FMS Heroes and Cool Kids visited the fourth grade classes. Fifth grade students participated in a DARE ceremony. Students are working on completing activities and decorating for the school with flags and mandalas hiding the Indic region for Indic Heritage Month. And lastly, Title I Family Engagement Math Rights for grade 4 kicked off on January 11th. Grade 5 will begin January 23rd. At school number 28, the PTO offered a holiday shop for the students. The vocal music concert was hosted at Woodbridge Middle School. The students and staff participated in a holiday spirit week. Santa visited the school and gifted each student with a stuffed animal and a book. Holiday gifts were provided to 8 needy families and 14 students from the school's giving tree. And lastly, 5 students from the Woodbridge High School Tomorrow's Teachers program were welcomed into the school. At Avenel Middle School, ELA students visited the Walnut Street Theater to watch A Christmas Carol. Dance students visited Middlesex County College to watch the MCC Winter Dance Performance. The Guidance Department hosted a Parents' Night to share information on how to access Genesis, standardized testing, bullying prevention, social emotional learning, the positives and negatives of social media, and substance abuse by teenagers. Lastly, 58 students were recognized for exhibiting kindness as part of the school's Wildcat Way character development program. At Fords Middle School, the girls' basketball team won the district-wide championship for the second year in a row. The Heroes and Cool Kids Sidekicks provided School 19 students with a program today, January 18th. The winter contest took place and was a success. Both Woodbridge and JFK High School visited and shared with students the various programs that upcoming freshmen can enroll in. On February 15th, several 7th and 8th grade students will have the opportunity to attend JA Inspire, which is an in-depth career exploration program. And lastly, the Student Council will sponsor the Woodbridge Township Have a Heart food drive with a goal minimum of 214 pounds. At Woodbridge Middle School, students were able to shop the Scholastic Book Fair and raised over $600. Both the girls and boys basketball teams made it to the playoffs. The band and chorus held an amazing winter concert. And lastly, peer leaders / sidekicks visited the students at Malby Street School and Ross Street School. And finally, at Woodbridge High School, several Woodbridge High School students were accepted into Congressman Frank Pallone Jr.'s Youth Advisory Council, including Ajarat Ibrahim, Andrew Jones, Sifa Ansari, Vedang Chada, and Nicholas Reyes. The Saffron Alliance visited several district elementary schools to celebrate and educate students about various aspects of Indic culture. In celebration of Indic Heritage Month, the Saffron Alliance hosted a trip to Rasoi for students to enjoy a delicious lunch buffet featuring various Indian foods. In collaboration with Colonial Middle School, several Woodbridge High School students and staff participated in a training on how to foster brave and safe spaces in preparation for a day of expression and allyship. And finally, several students from the Woodbridge Youth Enjoy Science Club visited the Rutgers University Cancer Institute.
Thank you, Alexander, for the detailed report. Tonight, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting. However, don't feel pressure if you have other homework to do. And just want to recognize, I guess it's your family out there. Thank you for being here. And also, I think blocked was Mr. Osborne, who may still be sitting there. There we go. The principal at Woodbridge High School has joined us this evening. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Let him answer, so.
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, sorry. Yep, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak here tonight, but unfortunately, it's my dinner time's approaching, so I just want to tell everyone have a good night and stay safe. So, really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Dr. Massimino, please state for the record the superintendent's reports for the month of January.
Mr. President, I submit the following reports: student registers and fire drill report, suspension reports for elementary and secondary schools, bomb threat reports, and reports of the attendance officers.
Thank you, Dr. Massimino. Now for public comment, the Woodbridge Township Board of Education welcomes and encourages active, productive, and respectful participation by members of the public and seeks to protect the First Amendment rights of those who engage in the exercise of free speech at this Board of Education meeting. Members of the public are requested to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of those whose legal rights may be impacted. The public is now invited to speak regarding the agendas being presented this evening. When you come to the microphone, please provide your name and the section of town in which you reside, along with the specific agenda item that you wish to discuss. As per Regulation 1100D, comments must be limited to no more than 5 minutes. No response will be given until you have completed your opportunity to speak. Light turnout this evening. Anyone wishing to speak? No? All right. Seeing none, we'll turn to the superintendent's agenda. Dr. Massimino, do you have any recommendations for us?
Yes, Mr. President, I have 11 items to present to the board tonight.
Sure. Do I have a motion for the superintendent's agenda?
So motion.
Excellent. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. I have a motion by Mr. Treebwasser, seconded by Ms. Anderson. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Wolferman.
Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Ms. Bourdain.
Yes.
Mr. Delapetro.
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed.
Mr. President, with the exception of item 11, which I will be abstaining, yes on everything else.
Thank you. Ms. Perez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I abstain from item number 11 as well. In the name of Rutgers, yes to all other items.
Mr. Sedana.
Yes.
Mr. Treebwasser.
Yes.
Mr. Velez.
Yes.
And Mr. Harris.
Yes. Communication, policy, and planning agenda. Mr. Mohammed.
Mr. President, the Communication Policy and Planning Committee, on recommendation of the superintendent, presents the following 6 items. I move for the adoption of the foregoing.
Well done, Mr. Mohammed. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Mohammed, seconded by Ms. Perez. Are there any comments or questions from the board? I did want to just make one quick shout out on item number 5. Typically, the first meeting of January, we approve the board meeting schedule for the remainder of the year, of which we were doing. It's located in the packet. We welcome members of the public to join us at our future board meetings. So take a look at that. That will be on the district's website very shortly, probably tomorrow or Monday, weather dependent. All right. Any other comments on the CP&P agenda? Roll call, Mr. Wolferman.
Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Ms. Bourdain.
Yes.
Mr. Delapetro.
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Sedana.
Yes.
Mr. Treebwasser.
Yes.
Mr. Velez.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes. Curriculum, extracurricular activities, and technology agenda. Mr. Sedana.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Curriculum, Extracurricular Activities and Technology Committee, on the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, presents the following 5 items. I move for the adoption of the foregoing.
Thank you, Mr. Sedana. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Sedana, seconded by Mr. Velez. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Secretary.
Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Ms. Bourdain.
Yes.
Mr. Delapetro.
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Sedana.
Yes.
Mr. Treebwasser.
Yes.
Mr. Velez.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes. Finance and Insurance agenda. Mr. Treebwasser.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance and Insurance Committee, on recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Business Administrator Board Secretary, presents the following 12 items. I move for the adoption of the foregoing.
Thank you, Mr. Treebwasser. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Treebwasser, seconded by Ms. Anderson. Are there any comments or questions from the board?
One thing, Mr. President.
Yes.
I just want to make sure the public's aware that all these items that are on the discard list are not just discarded. They are put up for sale first, and then based on the results of that, then the items that, if they are not purchased, will either be looked to be donated or will be discarded only after every attempt is made to get as much back out of it as possible.
Thank you for that comment, Mr. Treebwasser. I know that was discussed at length in the Finance and Insurance Committee. I know Mr. Wolferman, whether this agenda or future will provide a little more detail as to how members of the public can bid on some of these items. This month is an interesting month for everything from kitchen equipment to technology to workout equipment is available on that disposal list. And as Mr. Treebwasser noted, we try to make some money on those discarded items before they're sent to the recycler. Buildings and grounds
Mr.
agenda.
President?
Oh,
I'm so
yes.
sorry.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's up there. Oh, yes.
Skipping
Go
over.
ahead.
Oh, yeah. I just want to give a little shout out to the Gwen Roaming Charitable Trust. They have given the remainder of their trust to, or donated to the PACE program and the RISE program, and we appreciate their support of our two programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bourdain. Thank you. And for a roll call, Mr. Wolferman?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bourdain?
Yes.
Mr. Delapietro?
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Sedana?
Yes.
Mr. Treebwasser?
Yes.
Mr. Velez?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes. Buildings and grounds, Ms. Perez.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Buildings and Grounds Committee, on recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Business Administrator Board Secretary, presents the following 4 items. I move for the adoption of the foregoing.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. I have a motion by Ms. Perez. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. I have a motion by Ms. Perez, seconded by Ms. Bourdain. Are there any comments or questions from the board?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
just want to recognize, I believe, for buildings and grounds, I think we have a comprehensive list of the buildings that we have to take care of. And I think the Buildings and Grounds Committee, along with the administration, has done a great job of following through on all the improvements that have happened in our buildings and grounds. And I think we're pretty much on track. I think we're a little ahead of schedule with a lot of the renovations, whatever, maintenance, the upkeep, having the number of buildings that we do as a district and to manage them all so efficiently, I think is a great job. I just want to appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sedana. Anybody else on the buildings and grounds? I want to put a finer point on that as well. I saw this on one of the Facebook groups recently. Some questions, there was some talk about a potential new school, and then there was some chatter from there turned into, well, what happened to School 4 and 5? One of the projects on the referendum in 2020. We had that cleanup referendum in March of 2023. Just want to highlight on tonight's agenda items 2, 3, and 4 all touch on that School 4 and 5 project that is in the pre-construction phase and will begin in earnest a little later on, sometime this year. So if you just look at the items, number 2, 3, and 4, have to do with testing, have to do with removal of solar panels, and has to do with those who will be constructing the school relative to a project labor agreement. So that project continues to move along. School 4 and 5 has not been forgotten, and that project, you'll see more and more agenda items as the winter and spring evolve. So just wanted to make that point. So, Mr. Wolferman, could you have a roll call for this agenda, please?
Yes. Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bourdain?
Yes.
Mr. Delapietro?
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Sedana?
Yes.
Mr. Treebwasser?
Yes.
Mr. Velez?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes. Dining and Transportation Agenda, Ms. Perez.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Dining and Transportation Committee, on recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Business Administrator Board Secretary, presents the following 7 items. I move for the adoption of the foregoing.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. I have a motion by Ms. Perez. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Perez, seconded by Ms. Anderson. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Wolferman.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bourdain?
Yes.
Mr. Delapietro?
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Sedana?
Yes.
Mr. Treebwasser?
Yes.
Mr. Velez?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes. Personnel agenda, Mr. Delapietro.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Personnel Committee, on recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, presents the following 43 items. I move for the adoption of the foregoing.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Delapietro. Do I have a second, Mr. Treebwasser?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Delapietro, seconded by Mr. Treebwasser. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Roll call, Mr. Wolferman.
Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Ms. Bourdain.
Yes.
Mr. Delapietro.
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Sedana.
Yes.
Mr. Treebwasser.
Yes.
Mr. Velez.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes. Ms. Hope Madden, do we have any legal advice for this evening?
No, we have none this evening.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Massimino, you and I just had a quick chat. You have something to offer?
Sure, Mr. Harris. Two items that I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention. There was an announcement that went out district-wide today regarding a student at Woodbridge High School. This is a common message that goes out by individual schools. Anytime there's an emergency, we let the school know. We want parents to be aware that if there's an ambulance at the school, they know why there's an ambulance at the school or a fire truck at the school, so as not to create any kind of alarm. There was a clerical error, not to the fault of the individual. There was some confusion with the system, so it inadvertently went out district-wide. There is no confidentiality breach. There is no concern regarding the mode in which it went out beyond the fact that there was a glitch in the system. We addressed it and just wanted everybody to know that's why the message went out district-wide. It's a very common practice. It happens daily with different schools. Nothing to cause alarm, nothing to cause panic about. So apologize for all those people that got the message. Everything is okay. The second item that I want to address is once the meeting is over, I will have time to make the phone calls that I need to make with OEM and DPW. I am well aware that apparently there's a storm coming tomorrow, and I think it's bringing some snow. Mr. Harris just shared that with me a few minutes ago, so we will be making a decision after the meeting. There will be an announcement going out tonight, but I obviously have been here for the last few hours, and once I have the opportunity to make the phone calls to those individuals that are getting that information, I will make an announcement tonight.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Is there any old business that should be brought before the attention of the board? Any new business? Yeah. I just have one item. For those who do regularly watch, tonight there was a shorter agenda because we went from 14 committees to 10. That was something that I had discussed with my vice president about trying to ensure that the board more thoroughly discusses all the subject matters on a given month. So we truncated the committees from 14 to 10, and I think it will foster greater conversation among board members. So that was the reason for the shorter agenda, and you heard some different committee names. Any other comments from any other board members? No? Turning it over to the usual open session here, we will now open the meeting for public comment. When you come to the microphone, please provide your name and the section of the township in which you reside. As per Regulation 1100D, comments must be limited to no more than 5 minutes. No response will be given until you've completed your opportunity to speak. Anyone wishing to speak this evening? Saying none. Is there any, no, we'll cross that one off. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by myself, seconded by Ms. Bourdain. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Have a good evening, everybody.